welcome to the Round Table Podcast. I am Shogun. Joining me today again is my friend Technoshaman, as well as about 20 other friends. And we will be discussing the Antarctica Round Table Mission, where we will hopefully eventually go to Antarctica with a small number of people from the server. We will also discuss the reasons we will go there, as well as Antarctic conspiracies and mysteries. I'll just remind you to check out the podcast text channel, which is under Roundtable above the voice chats, where you can find images and graphics that go along with this. And you can find the podcast on RT Podcast channel, YouTube, and BitChute. We have over 200 episodes, all very good. That being said, welcome, Techno. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing quite well. How about yourself?
I'm good, dude. I've been a little high-strung lately, but I'm feeling chill, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So I'll give a quick introduction, and then I'm going to hand it over to you. But the history of the server, our friend NSA has informed us about a lot of interesting things having to do with aliens and other things. And he has a personal mission to go to Antarctica and crucify the aliens behind his persecution. Now, at some point, that cause became our cause. I'm not sure there's any aliens to crucify there or not, and I wouldn't crucify them anyway. But we are going to go there, and we're going to check some things out. So I think Techno's given this quite a bit of thought. So why don't you take it from there, Techno?
Yes. So for about the last decade or so, I've been thinking about this idea of Antarctica as a haven for humanity, particularly as an engineer, the last continent that we haven't quite fully inhabited yet. And it requires a certain degree of technology because of the extremes of weather there. But we're at that point that a well-engineered system there could be sustainable into geologic time and also serve as a potential place in which we can derive leaders for this planet to act as good stewards for the planet, something that this planet dearly needs and our species dearly needs at this point. So it seems the right time to launch said mission.
It's very well said. And I really want to get into those details of what kind of community we'll create there, how we'll stay warm, how we'll get food, how we'll fund it, and all those other practical issues. But I want to lay a little bit of the groundwork of why Antarctica. So one reason is, with global climate change, cold environments will get warmer, and warm environments will get hotter, and hot environments will get too hot. So generally speaking, humanity as a whole will migrate north into Canada, Russia, and Antarctica. So all the major world powers are doing this, and it's important that we be part of that. On a grander level, though, did you guys know that under Antarctica, under that ice is rainforests? So millions of years ago, the whole place was like the Amazon, right? So that's why that picture there, if you go to RT Podcast, it shows, in podcast text, it shows a picture of like a jungle on the third image down. That's what Antarctica looked like, right? So that means under the ice, there are millions of fossils, plants, animals, substances, minerals that we don't know about, right? They could be medicines, they could be scientifically revolutionary, fill in gaps in our understanding of the fossil record, right? As well as bacteria. And also, almost certainly, there was human civilizations there, because that's a very habitable environment, and anywhere that is that habitable, people lived and probably built pyramids and civilizations and relics and technology. And if you scroll down to the other pictures, you'll see the pyramids, right? Pyramids of Antarctica, these huge pyramids that are like hundreds of millions of years old. Now, they'll tell you those are natural, but look at them. Do they actually look natural? Maybe, maybe not. So one of the main spots on our visit will be these pyramids. This picture below the pyramid is purported to show a giant striding humanoid. Now, it seems unlikely, but if you get into some other stuff, it's not as unlikely as you might think. Underneath that is what looks like a flying saucer type thing with a sharp, like, metallic disc. It's not even the most interesting one. There's a more interesting example, but there's a few places where you can see objects like this that may be UFOs, and so we'll check those out. And if you go to the top one, under the second one, there's like what appears to be like a strange like alien face monolith. So if we can get there, we'll check that out too. There's also some caves and entrances that look artificial. There's some bases that have been identified there, which to be honest, we'll stay away from because they just kill us. And I mean human bases, military, all kinds of shit up there. So I'm going to pass it back to Techno, and then maybe after that, we'll open it up.
There's this game plan we can have, and ties back into the ideas that Buckminster Fuller that really a lot of the problems we face are merely engineering problems. So we have this space on this planet that nobody's ever inhabited before. We can make something new there, go by our honor code that we've developed over the last year, and build a society that can sustain humanity into the distant future. And we can utilize our engineering prowess together to create the society, build a geodesic dome, build tunnels and whatnot next to a geologic hotspot that we. So that's one of the main ideas I've been working with is we pick a geologically active site in Antarctica, build geothermal so that we have electricity year round. We don't have to import diesel or be tied to the world system. We get our energy straight from the ground. And then we set up a hydroponic system so we get our main staples right there. And it gives us a place where we can do research that can be done nowhere else because it's this land of terra nullius. And what we abide by is our honor code first, and not some arbitrary system of this jurisdiction or that. We create our own. And we offer service to the world. We can do rapid research. If somebody wants to modify their genetics there, they come there and do that. If they want to go on some wild expedition there, they can do that. It's a place that we can build from, and that allows people to opportunities that don't exist within well-established places of the world, which, you know, the last place that was sort of like that was the Wild West of America. It wasn't completely terra nullius, but it served functionally as such for many years. It allowed great innovation, great economic expansion, but it closed off in the early in the early 1900s. So yeah, and then there was the Wild West of the internet, which with this phenomenon of walled gardens, we're hitting a hiccup phase where we need to move to the next stage of decentralization and encryption. But that's a whole nother podcast. Basically, we have this piece of land that's untouched. A few governments claim it, but there's this treaty that says no governments can claim it. So it's essentially terra nullius. As long as we're contributing something positive to the globe, we should be left alone. We're able to we have the engineering prowess to be able to create a sustainable site there that can last not just into the decades, but into the centuries and even millennia.
So I want to remind people to check out the podcast text channel. Just a couple headlines. Bizarre particles keep flying out of Antarctica's ice, and they might shatter modern physics. Antarctica mystery. Space snap of giant hole exposed ancient anomaly. Our strange space signals in Antarctica. Evidence of a parallel universe. Stunning magnetic anomaly discovered under Antarctic ice. The truth behind secret Nazi bases and aliens. So there's a lot of weird shit going on there, from particles that appear to be coming from other dimensions and going back in time to old Nazi research bases, alien UFOs, etc. But also, I want to shout out to Sign. Antarctica is highly important to the Flat Earth community, because in the Flat Earth community, they believe that Antarctica is actually an ice wall that surrounds the perimeter of the Flat Earth. So, a side note, for those who are interested in that theory, this would also be a way to examine that while we're there, right? So there's a lot of different interesting things. If you're wondering how is the roundtable actually going to go to Antarctica, basically we will, and already have, we create a channel, we discuss our plans, we work out the details, we run fundraisers. We can use our built-in monetization network, which includes GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribe Store, Roundtable original merchandise designed by scientists, which is of the highest quality, actually, and all these different things. We also identify a team of committed members who want to go on the mission, somewhere between 6 and 12. I would prefer 12. Those people will have to also independently raise money, as well as the money we raise for the group. We'll have to do it on a shoestring budget, barring an unusual turn of events. And realistically, it's not going to be easy, cheap, or soon. There's no reason not to start working on it, and that's what we're doing. So,
absolutely, the earlier we can we can start working on, and the more we can put things together. And I want as many brains collaborating on this as possible, because this is a way we can kickstart a extropic future for humanity. We're we're free to do research such as genetically engineer fungi and bacteria to remediate radiation. We can genetically engineer, um, again, fungi and bacteria and other plants to remediate toxins from the environment, regrow forests, and it won't just be in Antarctica. We'll have a network of um, sites around the globe to add redundancy to the system, and be able to focus on those places in which we're able to do the most good with the least interference. And those places are going to get a head start in the future. They're going to be the societies that people 100, 200 years from now look back and say they actually thought about how things would be in geologic time, and we're grateful for them. And that's something that very we're at a crossroads now. So that's something that very few have an opportunity. Which side of history do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side of history that it is remembered as fucking things up, or do you want to be on the side of history that is trying to repair things for the distant future? And how will you be remembered? What is your legacy going to be? And I see the Antarctic mission as a stepping stone for an extropic future for humanity. Antarctica is a challenge because it's such an extreme environment that we learn the skills to inhabit even more extreme environments, such as Europa or Ganymede in the future. And it gives us the tools to be able to colonize the star system and become the star citizens that we are destined to be.
Well said, dude. Very well said. And the point about the Antarctica mission is it can be different things to different people. So if one person wants to go to Antarctica to investigate the flat Earth, that's the reason you're coming. And if I want to go to, just go with my friends and see what I can see, then that's the reason I'm going. And if you want to go to figure out about these, particles going backwards in space-time, you can do that. And we'll check out the pyramids and the face and the wall and the bases and all the different things there, the flying saucer. I mean, go look at that podcast text channel. And the second most recent one I posted, I mean, that looks awful lot like some kind of UFO protruding out from under like a rock shelf. It doesn't look like anything natural. So if we were able to get there and bring Dr. Weird with us, maybe we can, reverse engineer the UFO to go to Venus. That's what I'd like to do. So now on more practical matters, other than fundraising, we got to worry about food, water, warmth. You need high quality cold weather gear, camping gear. You need to pay for a guide. There'll be licenses, physical examinations. And once we're there, I think we'll probably use geodesic domes as habitations. I'm not sure how we'll warm them. Eventually geothermal, but we won't be able to do that initially. There's a lot of research we got to do. We can bring MREs, we can bring ration bars, we can bring all those things. And we'll need to. We'll also have to figure out transportation, probably by boat. But these are actually surmountable. I'm not sure what a realistic price tag is, but it will probably be pretty fucking expensive. But that's okay.
For long-term investors, it would be ideal because it offers the perfect research environment for the future. I mean, if you want to make THC beer, you can do that there. There's no law saying you can't make your beer, genetically engineer your yeast to produce THC in your beer. There's nothing that says you can't do that. So you can do crazy projects like that would have wide appeal across the globe. And so money is a tool, but it's not the end all be all. So we're going to have to work within said financial system, but maybe we can transcend it to an experiential financial system where you value experiences the most. And being able to visit Antarctica is one hell of an experience in and of itself.
Well, that's right. And a lot of people go to Antarctica every year already, right? Just because it's a place to go. They want the adventure. So we're not actually doing anything that crazy. It's something that's done every year. And if we just wanted to do it, right, all we'd have to do is sign up for an Antarctic vacation cruise, save up enough money for the ticket. We'll all go. We'll have a great time. We'll drink. We'll see the icebergs. We'll be in Antarctica. It'll be amazing. But if we want to take it further, then we can actually try and make a trek inland, which of course is massively more difficult and complicated. But if we wanted to identify like a way we could actually accomplish the Antarctica mission without so many difficult challenges, we could literally just join like an Antarctic tour group and just go on a tour of Antarctica. But of course, then we're not going to see the mysterious things, but still.
Yeah. So the big thing is establishing a permanent presence there. It's a continent that has not been colonized. Well, there has been one birth there, I think, on one of the Argentinian bases. So technically, it's beginning to be inhabited. We can play a huge role in establishing a permanent presence there, to understand what's involved in extreme environments and learn from said environment, to apply it to the rest of the world and ensure we preserve both the planet and our species into geologic time. It's one of the most important endeavors of our time, and to be a part of it, it's just fucking amazing. Whatever role you play, just reach out to me, and whatever role you think you can contribute, just reach out, and I want this is for humanity as a whole.
Absolutely. You can DM me, but you can now find the Antarctica Mission channel, right? So it's a newly created channel. I'm going to put a link to it in RT podcast text right now. So just if you're interested, post here, right? And I put the link there, just says Antarctica. Put your articles there, your sources, just sign up, say you want to participate. We'll start planning it, and we'll go from there. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or anything? Is there anyone here who wants to be part of it, at least hypothetically?
I would like to be a part of it.
I do.
Hadrian, Kasheka, anybody else?
Real dog.
Real flat earthers coming with us. We're going to check out that ice wall. How about you, Sign? You coming or what, bro?
I'm there. Can you hear me?
You're there? Fucking A. Sign's in. Anybody else in? If you're in?
I'm interested if you allow seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Sign me up.
All right. So if you guys are interested, if anyone else is interested, Monkey Man said he's in, Hawthorne's in, Kasheka's in. Just go ahead and post in that Antarctica channel, and we will begin it. My goals are to check out the crash UFO sites that appear to show flying saucers, to check out the Black Pyramids, to check out the face monolith, to check out the suspicious UFO-shaped opening and what is in there. Those are the things I want to do. But let me know what you want to do. We'll try and set up a balloon and see if we can get a picture of the flat Earth or ice wall, if it happens to be there. And yeah. Well, cool. Does anyone have any questions or comments, or before we close this initial? So what this is called is the launch right now. I'll put it in the Antarctica channel. The digital launch of the Antarctica Mission, the Round Table Antarctica Mission, is today, right? And so today is what day? Today is February 1st. Perfect. So February 1st. Is today, and February 1st is the launch, the digital launch of the Antarctica mission. The second launch will be the physical launch, and I estimate that will be minimum 5 years, but much more likely 10 years from now. So sometime between 2026 and 2030, we will go.
Shogun, can I just raise a little archaeological parallel? There have been lots of underground civilizations whose tunneled catacombs and communities are still there for us to see, right? And when you think about what it was like to live in those places pre-electricity, pre-batteries, right? I mean, our current theories about the people who lived in those underground cities, and there's some huge ones. I mean, there's Petra. I didn't research it, but there's some really massive, like thousands of people living in stone caves underground. What, with torches? Wouldn't you all die of asphyxiation if you're living underground in torches? Anyway, all I'm saying is that we might find that there are some precedents in the archaeological record for sort of communities that aren't out in the open, but that are living in enclosed environments of their own construction, which I think would be necessary in an Antarctic mission. So it might be an interesting conversation sometime to explore kind of how our history might inform our future.
Oh, absolutely. There's a couple bits of history that inform this project. So as you were talking about the underground idea, the ground regulates the temperature, so that it'd be good to have underground bits to our initial foothold. And we incorporate the hydroponic systems into that, and the geothermal, and then eventually more energetic forms of energy production. And we just keep working on that end. But also there's the idea of the Library of Alexandria, which I find is one of the saddest stories of history. We lost so much knowledge and in texts and just ancient knowledge because things became too unstable, and it was accessible to groups of roving madmen that didn't give a shit about the long-term prospects of humanity. So to give a buffer to that, which the South Sea acts as one hell of a buffer from the rest of the world, for a colony that cares about the long-term future of humanity and the buildup of information so that we can become a galactic civilization. I think that's going to be a critically important mission and something worthwhile. So one of the nicknames I give it is Library of Alexandria 2.0. So that's the magnitude of what we're putting together here.
It also calls to mind, I think it's in Norway, where they have that underground storage facility that has all the seeds of all the plants of the world as essentially a botanical library, right? So there's a way of creating a repository for life, which would be pretty awesome. And also, I was just thinking, oh, just a last thought, that I think that if we could harness wind power down there, that would be helpful.
Indeed.
Well, wind power, geothermal, right? So if we want to get into the nuts and bolts, so here's what we're going to do. I actually think realistically, there has to be a series of Round Table Antarctica missions, or at least a 2-phase Antarctica mission. So phase 1 is what Veritasimo posted in the podcast text, which is like a tour group type thing. You can get transportation there. You can go to Antarctica and pay to get your feet on the ground there. Once we got there, some people could do the tour, check out Antarctica, say they did it, and complete the first phase of the Round Table Antarctica mission. The more dedicated group who wanted to go further would then stay there and move on to the next phase, right? So some people would just come for the Antarctica tour, and then the more hardcore group would try and go further using that as the launch point because we're already there at that point, right? It takes away all the logistics of trying to organize our own transportation and shit. We can go there and drink and be on like a cruise and have a good time. That'll be the vacation part. And then when we get there, it'll be quite a bit more serious. In terms of how we would make a base camp community, Buckminster Fuller style or Earthship, like geodesic domes, or like cheap, low cost, like hay bale style buildings that are very thermal and cheap, made of like basic materials. We wouldn't be able to get the tractor materials to dig a hole in the ground, but if we did, you could put shipping containers underground and bury them and use them as like a warm underground base. We'd have to have greenhouses to grow food. I don't know if you can hunt seals or penguins or anything there. Probably not, because it's a protected area. We'll have to survive off freeze-dried food and stuff for at least a pretty long period of time. And we'll have to figure out heating, because obviously there's no firewood. So there's a lot of challenges there. And those are things we can discuss in future meetings as we get closer to the date. But I think the point for today is This is the digital launch of the Round Table mission. We have created the brand new Antarctica channel. We will have repeated mission meetings as we get closer to physical launch. We will create a GoFundMe page and begin raising funds now, and we'll continue to raise funds until we leave, right? So we'll gradually get money that way. And we'll probably make like an Antarctica Mission t-shirt and put it on the merchandise store, stuff like that. So Techno or anyone else, any closing thoughts here?
I just wish the best to this mission and to the future of humanity. I see it as a critical linchpin in the future of how we progress as a species, and having this place for humanity and for the future, it's going to play a pivotal role in how we develop as a extropic civilization, whether we succumb to the entropic forces that want to lead us into destruction, or whether we succeed in overcoming the entropic forces and becoming this complex spacefaring civilization that can travel across the cosmos. This is a stepping stone in the right direction, and at the very least, it will preserve our little place in time for the future, in a place that can't be ransacked by marauders, and can allow research in whatever direction still fits with our basic moral code that has been established for a year here in the server. And it's something we can build upon and help build a bright future. And I hope every person that can contribute, even if it's just a morsel to this project, contribute if you want to and believe in it.
That's right. So if you want to participate, if you're interested, just go to the Antarctica channel, #Antarctica, donate anything you can to the GoFundMe page when it's created. Buy a Round Table Antarctica Mission t-shirt if you can. Post articles about Antarctica, ideas, brainstorming, doesn't matter how far-fetched, how simple, anything from what kind of warm boots we need to buy, to what kind of tour group we should join, to how we can build the base, to what kind of sites we should explore, what kind of mission goals we should have, right? So that would be awesome. I think this was a great launch episode. We are going to aim for between 2026 and 2031. So that will be the timeline for the physical launch. It will be a 2-phase mission. Maybe say 12 people come for the tour group and adventure, and an additional 12 people for the tour group and party, and the additional 12 come for the hardcore. Or it might be some of both, right? And we'll identify 2 groups, one bigger group for the casual trip and a smaller group for the hardcore adventure, which, let's be honest, if we actually did it, could easily result in death. So you got to keep that in mind. But you got lots of time to think about it, and we will do that. So thank you, Technoshaman. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're going to adjourn this meeting now. A few small notes. We will also be having a big podcast tomorrow. I don't think you guys are going to want to miss. I think we're going to be launching a Monkey Man podcast tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to. Monkey Man is awesome. And we're going to start having weekly staff meetings, probably every Sunday, I think, at 8 Central. So thanks so much. Also, I'll be publishing Roundtable. It's like a value system, basically, which is going to go along with our existing rules and family vibe. So check that out in rules and about later tonight. Thank you so much. See you next time. Let's jump back up to Roundtable 1. And then we'll continue talking for the rest of the night. Thank you, Techno. Good night, everybody.
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
What?
Let's do it.